Well, I will start by telling you who we are. We are a virtual reality and augmented reality company working in some commercial applications. And as everybody, we need to solve many different topics for the clients. Clients don't know yet how to buy VR pieces. I don't know. There is no, I don't think if you find something like this, but we didn't. A client asking just for the distribution. They need a complete solution. Then we are doing content, we are building content, and we are integrating data sets behind the content in a way that the final user will allow to do transactions and to interact with the content. Basically, what we are building, today we are doing everything, but at the end we want to be, and we will be concentrated into a platform where people could be uploading their content. It will be integrating with data sets in different sectors, in different verticals, specific verticals, and final users will be doing transactions through it. The brands will be able to have the analytics of the audiences, the distributors or the agents selling, let's say, in the hospitality industry. The content related with those images of the cities or the hotels and so forth will be able to know their audiences in a very accurate way, and at the end of it, the final user will be able to have an immersive experience to select a hotel or to rent an office in a city, in a different city than their current city. But today, we will be talking about our research and development area, using the same skills of data sets integration with the image, with the content. We are building a platform to work on what we are calling ethical self-brain hacking. Of course, the name is very suggestive, but we are really doing it. What we are using is a platform to take advantage of on how the brain works, on how the reality is built inside of the brain, not outside of it. Then if we use the content and the mechanism that the brain uses, and I will explain that in minutes, we will be able to help people to be trained or to recover from some specific physical illnesses or mental illnesses using their, or unlocking the potential of their brain, building new neuro-patterns, or recovering or rebuilding or correcting damaged neuro-patterns in their brain. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I'm working with a lot of them. I'm data crazy person, then that's a key point when we are talking about how brain works. Get this open. Well, around 1.5 years ago, we started VR Americas, and the interesting part was trying to take advantage of how today's world works. The job world today is not as plain as so many years ago, where lawyers were working with lawyers, where engineers were working together. Today, it is very easy to find a communications expert working with computer scientists. And data scientists are a mix, like a representative mix of what this today's world is building or creating in the job industry. The training for new jobs, we are living in an exponential time, and basically the industries, there are big challenges in training for jobs. One of the biggest challenges is how we can create more jobs if we're using more technology. Then how we can keep people trained on the use of that technology. And finally, how the industries can expend the same or less amount of money and less amount of time training the people on the use of those equipments or machines or technologies that are more sophisticated. Inclusively, how we can use these technologies to avoid risks in the training process. Let's say, and I'm not just talking about very sophisticated equipments, but let's imagine a restaurant chain. Training a person on how to use the oven or how to fry the potatoes It's a risky thing. This is a person just starting to learn how to use the equipment, how to do it without the risk of not knowing how to do it, you know? And basically what we are doing is the use of the virtual reality, and that's what I will show you, integrating it with the use of augmented reality, and at the end, all the analytics during the process in order to facilitate the training process to make it not necessarily more inexpensive, but more scalable in a way that a small chain can train more people in a more efficient way. Work?
We're almost there. We have to,
Well, then with our platform, what we are doing is creating content for the companies, integrating this with the mind structure, and there I will take a few minutes to tell you people who we have in our team. We have a neuroscientist, Moran Cerf. He is a brain hacker, literally. If you Google him, he is a brain hacker. And his study is really amazing. He is a guy, he was a hacker protecting banks and financial institutions. And one day he decided to be a neuroscientist because of some coincidences in his life. And then now he is a PhD in neuroscience, working on how the brain, based on its coding language, chemical and electrochemical coding language of the brain, how it can be hacked while people is dreaming, to understand how that language is. You know, it's not as simple as Java script, maybe, but it is a code. And basically, in today's world, we have, okay, this is cool. Thank you. Okay, well, I was telling you, this is our team. We have from experts in video, film, whatever, but basically doing an analytic of a visualization of who we are. These were the keywords that were connecting us. We are a multidisciplinary team, definitely, and a passionate people about data, science, technology, and how this can be monetized through the business world. Basically, what I was explaining to you, this is realities built inside of the brain. We are taking the advantage of this and how the brain works to help the people to build new neuro-patterns and basically reconstruct or recovery affected neuro-patterns. Finally, we are creating the training content or the medical content parameters, depending on who our client is there. And finally, all the analytics for improvement are one of the vertical things or recurrent things in the dynamic. I want you to see these words. Did you recognize them? Do you know what it is? I want you to organize this alphabetically, from the A to the C. I will count to 30. Please, let's do it. Ready? This is the correct one. Who was correct? Raise your hand. Okay, now please think a color. Maybe some of you already did this exercise before. Ready? Now, a tool. Ready? Did you think of a red hammer? Who of you were thinking of a red hammer? Okay. This is very common, and I will explain you why this happened, because our brain works with things that were already learned in a previous moment. We create filters in our brain to understand the reality. And when we were getting into a pattern that we already know, like the weekdays, and we were crossing it and making our brain to think on how is the alphabetic order of it? We were crossing one recognized pattern with another recognized pattern, the alphabet. We were giving our brain the instruction to think, retaking things that were in its background. And finally, a color and a tool that were on the top of mind are really coincident with this. If you were not there, maybe this is a scenario where people is more creative and doing different, more broader variety of activities. But in a regular average group, that will be very hard. This is our brain. We don't experience anything directly. The original VR device is the brain. This is Rob Walcott. He is leading an initiative in Northwestern Management Business School. And basically, our brain has the same number or around the same number of neurons than the Milky Way stars. It is an amazing thing because we have a complete universe in our brain. It is not already not yet mapped complete. This is the last map that, an image of the last brain map that was done in 2000, in the starting of this year. If we think in our brain with all these neurons, what our brain is doing daily is understanding the reality, trying to make sense from there, trying to take what the brain already learned from before experiences, and building from there. And what we have is a perception of that reality. I will jump a little bit. I want you to think in this. Please, if I will give you some names of objects, and I want you to identify the things here. A penguin, the sun, a cloud, a giraffe, an elephant, a tiger, a zebra. How many of you recognize at least 4 of those objects? Raise your hand, please. Is this an accurate image of that reality, of the real reality? Then how did your brain, was your brain incorrect or doing a mistake because of this? No. The mission of the brain is not to be a hyper-realism meter, but to identify the reality, use the filters, and at the end of it, make sense of that reality that it is perceiving. A big amount of and this is how our learning process works. When we are learning, one of the key points is the presence, is how we are or we can be perceiving this environment of what I am learning. How do you learn easier from a country? When you are visiting that country, or when you are hearing a person telling you about that country. Visiting. And how do you learn more? When you are hearing someone, not seeing it, telling you about something, or when you are trying to do that. How many code? Raise your hands. It is valid. I'm in that category. Nice. And it was something you were just hearing? What made you to be trained? Not, I'm sure. You were practicing a lot. Repetition is a key thing in training, in learning process. And when we are repeating the things, it is something very important to create those neuro-patterns. What creates our neuro-patterns, or that road in our mind to remind something in the long term, is repetition of something. And if we are connected in the presence with that reality, we will be learning easier. If I receive the instructions, and let's move again to the job training world. If I only have availability of 1 hour daily or weekly to be trained in the real equipment, it is easy for me to be trained on that equipment? Not that much. Is expensive or expensive for the company to train me that way. It's very expensive and very inefficient. If I can give the equipment or the machine to the people. I used to be a manager for a drone company. Well, it was not just, we were flying drones, and it is very complicated. What you were telling, I was really happy hearing you, because it is very difficult to really manage well a drone. The amount of accidents that could happen are amazing, because people is not playing with drones every day. And the biggest, better, amazing, awesome, whatever we want to tell, pilots of drones were people who was piloting drones since they were kids. It is true or not? It's something, because you don't have the equipment, you can't feel. It's not like being in a plane, feeling the air. You need to make your brain to feel that it is feeling that air thermics, but you are not there. Then when you are learning, repetition is something you need. But if you have a drone, it is very expensive to do a mistake and try again and try again and try again. You can tell it. But this is what's happening in many industries, because the sophistication of the equipment for job are making a mistake too expensive. Then the other point is the interaction. If I'm not interacting with what I am learning, it is very difficult that the experience or the real possibility of managing the equipment, the topic, the whatever will be our reality. When I create interaction, what's more important in education and training? To be in contact with the things, to feel how they are in the reality, to explore them. And finally, if I don't have emotions related with the training process, I will not learn in that good way. I don't know if you heard any time that there is a very good way to learn a language. Did you ever heard what's the best method? Immersion. To be in a place, or to meet nice people, or people in your topics who is native in that language. You learn better when you are engaged emotionally. Let's imagine a kid in a boardroom classroom trying to learn something from a teacher who was not also motivated about the topic. It is easy for that kid to learn? I don't think so. If we can move that kid, let's imagine that we can teach geography by traveling in a drone. I am sure that everybody will be learning what a map is, how the rivers are. The image will be printed in their brains. And basically, that's a big part of the process. The creation of the interaction between these four factors is a big part of what we are building. How people is retaining content and learning in a real way. This is the brief data about passive teaching methods versus participatory teaching methods. The less effective way is someone reading me something. And this is how our traditional system works. It is very unfortunate. If we are the ones reading, it will increase. Why? Because we are we are part of it. We are interacting in some way. If we are giving audiovisual content, why audiovisual content will help? Because we are creating a map when you were hearing the soda, when we started, who was imagining the exact brand of the soda? Sure, because it's a daily image you already have. But with regular and traditional audiovisual content, we are not taking the people to participate in the thing. Finally, demonstration, group discussions. But when you are learning something, it's difficult to discuss with others. when you are just learning. And job training is an area where you are not discussing with people, because you will be trying to keep yourself as a good person. It's not to a job and ask everybody all kind of questions every day. No, it's not. It's like, oh, they will be thinking I'm not that smart or I'm not that capable to do my job. Then practice, of course, but if I'm just learning, I'm sure they are not giving their own to a new employee the first day. No, please, I just want to try a little bit because I need to practice. No, I'm sure they are not giving it. And it happens with many equipments. Who of you are leaving your equipments to an intern the first day? I'm sure you are not. Well, what are you doing? Well, because that's your mission. I love that. But, and congratulations, because that's how you can change lives with education in that way. But if you are in an industry, it's difficult to give the people the equipment. And finally, teaching others. The corporate world, the industries, are not usually giving the power to train others to young people or to people who is just getting into the industry. And this is something that we are trying to use in our method. I want you to do 4 straight lines in just only one trace to link these dots. 30 seconds. Who is ready? Did it before? You are not playing with me. If I told you this, is easier? Basically, this is a phrase that the world training process is using every day. Let's think out of the box. But here, it is literal. How many of you were thinking on this if you were not yet doing this exercise before? It's not easy. But the ones who are repeating the exercise, how easy it was for you? Very easy. Why it is too easy now that you did it before and it was not easy the first time?
You train yourself with the usual, I just have to stay with this. I don't recognize that I can go past.
Your pattern is already built. Your neuro-pattern is already built. And as it is like, why I didn't thought that before? No, it has like, then this is the kind of ways to create memories in this kind of exercises. And the training for job is the same kind of thing. If we can make the training in a new job that easy than the last exercise, we will be adding value to the industries. Basically, the money spent in training people for job is very big. The needs of the industry, of new people doing new things, and the needs of the world to create new jobs are amazing. But if we cannot connect vocational training and graduate education, the world will be in problems. The working world will be in problems. The velocity and evolution of the equipments, the technology, the capacity of the memory of the equipments, whatever, the processing capacity is scaling up that quick every day, that if we are not creating training methods that could scale up in the same velocity, we will be in problems. And basically, on job training, my conclusion there is, what are we specifically doing now? With this, and this is a thing you already know, but I want to underline this. When we are building virtual reality and we really want the people to perceive the reality as the virtual reality as our reality, the quality of the image is something very important. It is not the same thing for my brain to be trained learning how to drive a caterpillar, for example, in a video game than learning it in a machine that I perceive or my brain perceives. It is real. The quality and resolution of the image is very important. My gosh, okay. Then all this, what we are doing is taking advantage of the processing capacity improvement that the world is having. If today we can do what we are doing, and I'm talking about us, with you included as we have many amazing tools now for processing, shooting, stitching, post-production, but also price reduction. Today's question of how can we scale up this, how we can make the people to access the equipment is a valid question today, but it will not be a valid question in 3 days. Already told you, I will finalize with a demo. Sorry, there, ready. It has all the sound, and it is in Spanish then.